The first 30 minutes are already in progress, right now, whether you chose them or not. The world does not wait for you to become ready. It does not knock. It does not ask permission. The moment your alarm fired, the auction began, and every distraction, every platform, every notification that has ever been engineered by rooms full of the most sophisticated behavioral architects alive, all of it is already bidding on your attention. Most people lose before they get out of bed. They reach for the phone. They read someone else's agenda. They let the algorithm decide the texture of their first thoughts. And by the time they realize what happened, the day already owns them. They will spend the next 16 hours reacting to a reality that was constructed for them by interests that are not their own. You know this man. You may have been this man yesterday. The Stoics called the undisciplined morning prastasia a kind of surrender. Not dramatic surrender, quiet surrender. The kind where you hand the reins over before you've even stood up and then spend the day wondering why nothing feels like yours. This is not a motivational video. Motivation is weather. This is a protocol, a structural framework for the first phase of your day, designed not to inspire you, but to give you a mechanism that operates whether you feel like it or not. 10 protocols, each one a brick, each one placed with intent. Before we engage the first protocol, we must ensure the system is locked. High-performance logic requires a community of intent. If you are here to move from surrender to strategy, signal it now. Like this video, not as a gesture, but as a marker of your presence in this hall. Drop a comment. I am the architect. This is your digital signature on the morning's ledger. If you know someone who is currently drifting in the noise, send them this. We are building a network of those who refuse to live on autopilot. And a final technical note. Do not bypass any section of this protocol. The architecture of the mind is cumulative. To skip a part is to leave a structural flaw in your day. Your future self, the version of you that will settle the ledger tonight, is watching. Build something they can respect. Protocol 1. Allocate before they withdraw. Think of your attention as capital, not a metaphor, a structural fact. You begin each morning with a finite reserve, clean, unspent, maximally available, the highest quality cognitive resource you will have all day. And the world knows it. Every platform, every inbox, every group chat is waiting to make the first withdrawal. The Stoics called the opening of the day the hour of the will. Marcus Aurelius, every morning in a military tent or in the palace of the most powerful empire on earth, wrote before he received a single report, not after, before. He understood what most people spend a lifetime missing. You cannot reclaim attention once it has been spent. You can only decide who spends it. So the first protocol is structural, not philosophical. Before you open a single application, before you speak to anyone, before the machine of the day begins its demands, allocate. Decide, in writing or in silence, what today is for. Not a list of tasks, not a schedule. One answer to one question. What is the single most important thing I will build today? Not accomplish, not complete. Build. Because a life is not finished in a day. It is built in them. Right now, honestly, do you know what today is for? Or are you going to find out by seeing what arrives in your inbox? Protocol 2. The cold start. Every machine requires a cold start, an initialization sequence before it can perform its specification. The human system is no different, but most people skip the initialization. They go from horizontal to reactive in under 90 seconds, and then wonder why the day feels like noise. The cold start is not meditation in the way the word has been softened and sold. It is not a retreat from the day. It is preparation for contact. Marcus Aurelius described his own morning practice not as stillness, but as briefing. He would enumerate the difficulties ahead, the difficult people, the uncertain outcomes, the ways the day might resist him, and he would prepare his responses before the day made its demands. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity, not pessimism, engineering. The cold start looks like this: sit upright, breathe, not ceremonially, but deliberately. 4 counts in, 4 counts out, long enough to feel the system stabilize. Then, name what is likely to go wrong today, not to fear it, to have already decided how you will meet it. The man who has pre-built his response to the 9 a.m. ambush is not rattled by the 9 a.m. ambush. He is ready. Epictetus, who understood adversity with an authority most philosophers never earn. He was enslaved, physically disabled, and still produced the clearest manual for mental sovereignty that civilization has ever recorded. He said, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens." The cold start is how you identify what is in your power today, before the rest happens. Protocol 3, the closed ledger. Yesterday is a closed ledger. Every entry made, not one line can be revised. This is not comfort. It is a structural constraint, and like all structural constraints, it is not negotiable. The man who wakes carrying the weight of yesterday is not being thoughtful. He is making a withdrawal from today's capital to pay a debt that is not payable. The ledger is closed. The debt cannot be cleared. It can only be compounded by spending this morning's resources on an account that is no longer open. Leave it. Not because you don't care, because caring about what cannot change is not care. It is waste. And waste is the only thing the Stoics genuinely had contempt for. Protocol 4, the dichotomy in practice. You have heard of the dichotomy of control. You have probably read it. You may have nodded at it and then spent the next hour worrying about something you cannot change. So let us be precise about what it actually requires. The dichotomy is not a philosophy. It is an engineering decision that must be made every morning for every item on the day's agenda. 2 columns. Column 1, what is mine to affect today? Column 2, what is not? Column 1 gets your capital. Column 2 gets nothing. Not anxiety, not rehearsal, not the sophisticated high-functioning rumination that intelligent people mistake for preparation. Nothing. Epictetus was surgical about this. He said the source of all human distress is the failure to make this distinction, not the circumstances themselves, but the confusion about which column they belong in. The traffic jam belongs in column 2. Your response to the traffic jam belongs in column 1. The outcome of the presentation belongs in column 2. Your preparation for it belongs in column 1. Name one thing you have been treating as column 1 that is structurally column 2. You know what it is. You've been feeding it every morning and wondering why you feel depleted. That ends today. Protocol 5, physical initialization. The body is not separate from the system. The body is infrastructure, and infrastructure that is not maintained does not gradually degrade. It fails at load. The Stoics were not theorists who ignored the physical. Marcus Aurelius rode. He trained. He endured, not for aesthetics, for the understanding that a mind housed in a deteriorating structure, operates under permanent disadvantage. The protocol is not complicated. Movement, before the desk, before the screen, before the first meeting, not a performance of wellness, not a ritual to photograph, a private mechanical act of maintenance. 20 minutes, the minimum viable investment in the infrastructure that carries everything else. Seneca wrote that we suffer not from too little time, but from too much time spent in the wrong places. The body is not the wrong place. The body is the only place anything is actually happening. Honor it accordingly. Protocol 6, the single vector. Most people begin their workday in all directions simultaneously. Email, Slack, the open browser tab, the task that was due yesterday, the task that is due tomorrow. They call this productivity. It is the opposite of productivity. It is the illusion of motion disguising the absence of direction. Marcus Aurelius wrote in a private journal with no intention of audience, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, not what's behind you, not what might arrive later. What is in front of you?" The single vector protocol is this. Before anything else in your working hours, identify the single task that is the highest value use of your cognitive capital at full capacity. And do that task first, not second, not after you've warmed up with easier things. First, when the capital is at peak, when the system is initialized and running clean, the difficult, important thing, while you are still the sharpest version of yourself today. The easy things can be done when the day has taken its toll. The hard thing requires the best of you. Give it the best of you. Type in the comments, "I allocate with intent." Protocol 7, the 5-minute brief. Every serious operation runs on briefs, not inspiration, not motivation, information, clarity, defined objectives. Before major transitions in your day, before the first meeting, before you leave the house, before you sit down to do the critical work, run a 5-minute brief. Write it or speak it aloud. 3 things. 1. What is the objective of this next block? 2. What is the most likely obstacle? 3. What is my pre-decided response to that obstacle? This is not journaling. This is not self-help. This is operational clarity. The brief takes 5 minutes. The absence of a brief costs hours. In wrong turns, reactive decisions, and the particular exhaustion of a person who worked all day but cannot say with precision what they built. When you finish today, will you be able to name what you built? Or will you end the day with the general feeling that you were busy, that it mattered somehow, that you'll have a clearer sense of it tomorrow? Tomorrow is not the brief. The brief is now. Protocol 8. Guard the gate. You are not obligated to receive every input that presents itself today. This is perhaps the most countercultural statement in this entire protocol. You have been trained by systems that profit from your attention to treat every notification as urgent, every message as requiring immediate response, every headline as demanding your emotional engagement. None of this is true. The Stoics had a name for the practice of choosing which thoughts to admit into the mind, the discipline of assent. Not every impression that arrives deserves to be received. Not every thought that enters deserves to stay. The gate is yours. You decide what enters. In practical terms, no phone for the first hour of the morning, no email until the high priority work is already underway, no news until the capital you need for deep work has been spent on deep work. This is not avoidance. This is sequencing. The world's agenda is not more important than yours. The world's timeline is not your obligation. Guard the gate. Everything legitimate will still be there after you have done the work that matters. Protocol 9. The identity standard. There are two kinds of people who know this material. The first kind knows it. The second kind is it. The first kind reads, nods, finds it compelling, and then returns to the same patterns by 9 a.m. They collect frameworks. They follow channels. They are well-informed passengers in lives they have not yet decided to drive. The second kind has made a different decision, not a dramatic decision, a structural one. They decided, at some specific, unremarkable moment, that this is not a system they practice. It is a system they are. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Not, figure out what to do and see what kind of person that makes you. First, decide what kind of person you are. Then, act from that identity. The actions are not the identity. The identity produces the actions. Type this in the comments. I am the architect, not because it is a nice thing to type, because saying it publicly is a small act of structural commitment, the same kind Marcus Aurelius made in his private journal every morning, a declaration of who you have decided to be, made before the day has a chance to offer you an easier version of yourself. Protocol 10. The compound investment. This is the protocol that contains all the others. Every morning you execute these protocols, you are not having a good morning. You are making an investment. And like all genuine investments, the return is not visible today. It is not visible this week. The man who begins compounding at 30 does not see the portfolio at 30. He sees it at 50. He sees it at 60. He sees it in the face of the 70-year-old man who looks back at this period, this exact period, these exact mornings, and recognizes them as the construction phase. The version of you being built right now is being built in increments too small to see. One protocol, one morning, one decision to allocate before they withdraw, one cold start instead of a warm scroll, one closed ledger, one column 2 item released. These are not dramatic, they are structural, and structure maintained consistently produces outcomes that motivation could never reach. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The investment phase of the morning is how the waste ends, not with a grand gesture, with a protocol executed quietly, repeatedly, by the person who has decided that the version of himself being built in these mornings is worth the discipline. The protocol is set, the capital is allocated, the gate is guarded. Move now, not in a hurry, with the particular quality of a man who knows what today is for. The noise will come. It always comes. But the foundation was laid before the noise arrived, and a foundation laid before the storm holds in a way that no amount of mid-storm effort can replicate. You are not behind. You are not late. You are precisely at the coordinates of every decision you have ever made, and this morning you made the decision to invest before the world could withdraw. That is not a small thing. In a world designed to make you reactive, choosing to be deliberate is an act of quiet resistance. Move through the day now. Carry the protocols like structure, not performance. They do not need to be visible. They need to be operational. The work is already begun. The ledger is open. And every hour between now and when it closes tonight is capital in your hands. Spend it like someone who knows its value, not someone who is trying. someone who has decided